deserve Donald Trump. We do as a nation. If a nation has enough people that are going to believe this rabid, psychopathic slop, we kind of deserve our own demise. You know what I mean? It's like Maryland dad dressed like a gangster. Why was he dressed like a gangster? All right, let's get to the real news. Judge tells DOJ she has no tolerance for gamesmanship in case of man mistakenly deported. Let's get to the real news.
Harsh
Jesus
words
Christ.
for the Trump administration in the case of Kilmer Garcia, who, as you know, was mistakenly deported to El Salvador. Well, he is now in a Salvadoran prison, despite a Supreme Court order that the administration should take steps to bring him back to America. A federal judge now says she has seen no evidence that officials have done anything to comply with that order, and that's raising questions about whether they may be ignoring the court. Scott McFarland is at the Justice Department with the latest on this story. Scott, good morning. A lot of people want to see this man return back to the United States.
In the meantime, Gail, the judges ordered depositions from several top Trump administration officials, and she's put federal lawyers on notice to cancel vacations and cancel appointments, that it is all hands on deck.
The world didn't give it.
With a crowd of supporters and Kilmer Garcia's wife gathered outside,
I will not stop fighting until I see my husband alive.
His attorneys argue the Department of Justice is defying a judge's orders, refusing to turn over even basic information about what's being done by the Trump administration to return Garcia, seen here, from a notorious prison in El Salvador, to which he was deported by mistake a month ago. A previous court order in 2019 protected him from being sent to El Salvador, from which he'd fled years earlier.
This case is about the government unlawfully and admitting to unlawfully removing a gentleman from this country.
Federal Judge Paula Zinnes blistered Trump administration lawyers for not following her prior orders, saying every day Mr. Garcia is detained at the Salvadoran prison is another date of irreparable harm, and that she has no tolerance for gamesmanship or grandstanding.
The Constitution is being tested.
Jeffrey Rosen is president and CEO of the National Constitution Center.
We're dealing with the most fundamental questions of whether or not the president will respect an independent judiciary and the rule of law.
The administration continues to allege Garcia is an MS-13 gang member and that his fate is in the hands of El Salvador, whose president Monday said he wouldn't help ensure a return.
The question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States?
Trump administration officials argue if Garcia is returned to a U.S. port of entry, he'd be immediately deported elsewhere.
If somehow he comes back and that happens, he's going to be detained and removed again.
Yesterday, Republican Senator Chuck Grassley was confronted about the case at his town hall in Iowa.
Are you going to bring that guy back from El Salvador? Yeah. Are you? Yeah. Why not?
Well, because that's not a power of Congress.
Maryland Democratic Senator Chris Van Hollen is en route to El Salvador, he says, to try to meet with Kilmer Garcia and also to meet with Salvadoran leaders to try to secure this man's release. Gail?
All right, Scott, thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everybody. President Trump campaigned on the promise to secure our homeland and deport violent alien criminals from our communities. That is why the American people overwhelmingly reelected him back to this office, and it's why the American people defeated the Democrat Party in devastating fashion. Today, we have officially learned Democrat officials still refuse to accept the will of the American people. Maryland Democrat Senator Chris Van Hollen rushed to Dulles Airport this morning to fly to El Salvador, potentially using taxpayer dollars to demand the release of deported illegal...
Oh, you mean a senator actually cared about his constituents? You know, since this person, his wife, his 5-year-old child with special needs is a constituent of Chris Van Hollen? You mean that's what the senator did? What a horrible thing this senator did to chase after an innocent man who was unjustly deported, kidnapped, so unjustly that the American government admitted to the mistake Just to make sure I'm getting this straight, no one has heard from Abrego Garcia since he was disappeared, and not even a U.S. senator can get in touch with him, and 100% could be dead, but no one would know. Yeah. Scott McFarlane, CBS News' justice correspondent. I may be the first in the United States senator to visit El Salvador on this issue, but I won't be the last. This is an unsustainable moment. Van Hollen says he was not able to see Kilmer Abrego Garcia, and he says El Salvador authorities could not guarantee a visit with Abrego Garcia next week. And he says he was not permitted to speak with Abrego Garcia by phone. Van Hollen says El Salvador leaders told him they'd facilitate a phone call with Abrego Garcia if the U.S. Embassy had asked. Van Hollen says El Salvador official was not sure they'd be able to arrange a call between Abrego Garcia and family. Chris Van Hollen then pauses and emphasizes the Trump administration is lying about Abrego Garcia. I think this is still speculation. I keep seeing KKK Caroline saying that he has been confirmed as a member of MS-13. Oh, KKK Caroline. You're talking about Caroline Leavitt. I was like, what? I thought you meant Caroline Kwan. I was like, well, she would never. What the Anyway, we don't know. We have no way of knowing.
Illegal alien MS-13 terrorist.
He is not that. He is not that.
The Democrats and the media in this room have continually and wrongly labeled Kilmer Abrego Garcia as a Maryland father. There is no Maryland father. Let me reiterate. Kilmer Abrego Garcia is an illegal alien.
Yeah, this is the meta, by the way. Trisha McLaughlin, when Garcia was arrested, he was found with rolls of cash and drugs. He was arrested with 2 members of MS-13. 2 judges found that he was a member of MS-13. The finding has not been disturbed. When arrested, he was wearing what is effectively MS-13's uniform. How far removed are you as the Assistant Secretary of Department of Homeland Security? How far removed are you from just like average working Joes that you look at a high visibility vest and go, that's a sign of an MS-13 gang member. He's wearing high vis. He was arrested for loitering, as Aaron Reichlin Melnick correctly points out. If he had had cash and drugs on him, the PG County police would have charged him with something rather than releasing him. Plus, they didn't even fill out an incident report. So where are you getting this information from? They're just making it up. But that's it. That's all it takes. You can just lie like this when it's a brown person. Straight up. They already did this with black people. They did this with the Haitians are eating cats and dogs. They could get as aggressive and as insane as they want to with their blood libel when they're talking about black people and brown people. And this is happening in front of our eyes. They're testing how much false information the public will abide by, how much false information the public will eat up. That is what's going on here. The case of Kilmer Abrego Garcia is not unique. 90% of all of the people that have been deported to CCOT have no crimes whatsoever. I think it's like a total of 12 people that have some serious crimes that have been deported. Okay? The rest are minor offenses or no criminal record whatsoever. And these people can just say, without any care or consideration for the truth, that they are rapists, like child rapists, bloodthirsty murderers. And a lot of people believe them. It's insane.
MS-13 gang member and foreign terrorist who was deported back to his home country. And when Kilmer Abrego Garcia was originally arrested, he was wearing a sweatshirt with rolls of money covering.
Yeah, the Fourth Circuit judge literally said the Trump admin had ample opportunity to show he was a member of MS-13, but did not and didn't even bother to try.
The ears, mouth, and eyes of presidents on various currency denominations. This is a known MS-13 gang symbol of hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil. Abrego Garcia was also arrested with 2 other well-known members of the vicious MS.
Are they just like making new up now? Is that what's going on? Because none of this was in the police report at all. It's from the White House, so I don't know. Wait, what? I want to look into the definition of uniform before they're referring to before judging. Google search puts clothing in the second definition, remaining the same in all cases and at all times. It's from the White House, so I don't know. I guess this is the reason why a lot of people are stupid enough to just be like, nah, the government could never make up. Why did we go to war with Iraq, by the way? I don't know. They would never famously make up. The administration that won. That's something a 3rd grader will make up to try to get you in trouble with the principal. This case is literally turning Ivy League educated boomers into pure Nazi zero critical thinking left in this country, man. Oh, 100%. Like, this person is a union member too. Like, it's not, oh my God. At first they claimed him wearing a Chicago Bulls hat was reasoning enough that he was MS-13. Now they're saying the high-vis shirt that he was wearing was the MS-13 uniform. What's next, dude? What else is MS-13? Drinking water? Did he drink water in the process? Before he was getting apprehended, we ascertained that the criminal assailant was consuming a liquid substance from a plastic vestibule. I don't even know if that's the right word. No, it's not the right word. Vestibule means passage, hall, room, or between the outer door and interior of a building. The fuck was I thinking? Why did I say vestibule? What would it be? A vessel. I was thinking vessel. I'm so stupid. Why does anybody listen to me? A plastic vessel. Yeah. The assailant was engaging in kinetic action in the process of moving one leg in front of the next. Yeah, here it is. This is the big smoking gun that this racist piece of shit had to be like, this guy's MS-13.
A hoodie. Garcia's a Bulls fan, but he's from El Salvador, and he lives in Maryland, not Chicago.
Wow. I can't believe a guy would have Chicago Bulls merchandise, literally the most marketable franchise universally, for anyone over the age of 25. What the I'm a LeBron dick rider till the day I die. And even I recognize that Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant are two of the most marketable universal figures of NBA history. They're in the Taliban wearing Kobe Bryant jerseys, bro. What the are we talking about? And the same goes for MJ. What do you mean? The Chicago Bulls is literally a universally recognized institution due to the historic period where Michael Jordan dominated. Yeah. One of the most iconic sports moments of all time. I can't believe he would wear a hat dedicated to that team. Oh my God. It's like Luka Doncic's Hamas. Yeah. How dare this guy wear a Chicago Bulls hat? He must be a terrorist. Jesus Christ.
The Bulls lost 60 games in 2019. So why the hat? Can Garcia name anyone on the team?
What are you saying? Who gives a dude? What? Awfully suspicious that this brown man is wearing a Bulls hat. That's it. That's literally what this argument is. It's like a joke if it wasn't so heinous. If the reality wasn't so heinous, you couldn't treat this as anything but a joke. Awfully suspicious wearing a Chicago Bulls hat. You're not even from Chicago. Dog, it's not like he's wearing a Pelicans hat. What are you talking about? It's the Chicago Bulls. It's like wearing a Yankees hat. I have a Yankees hat. I've never watched baseball. I think baseball's boring. What the do you mean?
Anyone on any Bulls team besides Jordan? Everyone from El Salvador knows what it means when you wear a Bulls hat. It means you're MS-13.
No, that's not what are you saying? I can't do this. Kaya, please. They're not even trying. They're not even trying. That's the craziest part. They are not trying. They know that their fan base is dumb enough. They know that their fan base is racist enough. Do you understand? You don't do this if you're trying to convince people. You do this if you know they've been convinced already. Okay? They're not even trying to make it up. This is quite literally context puke. Ethan Klein being like, well, these are bad guys and America are the good guys. Why aren't you supporting the good guys? No arguments whatsoever. Just scary brown man bad. When I see stuff like this, I'm like, we deserve Donald Trump. We do as a nation. If a nation has enough people that are going to believe this rabid psychopathic slop, we kind of deserve our own demise. You know what I mean? It's like Maryland dad dressed like a gangster. Why was he dressed like a gangster? He's wearing a Chicago Bulls hat while being brown, bro. This is literally all this is.
When you're in Compton, you don't accidentally wear red and say, oh, I didn't know red was Bloods. If you're a Latin American illegal alien in Maryland, you don't accidentally wear Chicago Bulls gear and hang around with high-ranking gangsters from MS-13. This is the reason he...
Yeah. I once asked a Lebanese mechanic in Beirut if he was ever in the Midwest because he was wearing a Bulls shirt. And he told me in perfect English, come on, man, the Bulls are universal. These people have never left their homes. They've never left America, I don't think. It's so funny. You can go to a village in the middle of Turkey and you can see Bulls merch. What the are you talking about, dude? What are you talking about? I can't believe we're even like having to defend the universality of the Chicago Bulls brand, by the way, because there is no defense. There's no need for this. What do you mean he's wearing a Chicago Bulls hat? That's it.
He had to break into the country. Are you ready? a local gang in El Salvador was shaking down his grandma's tortilla shop. And his lawyers say if he gets sent back to El Salvador, he's a dead man. It's a tortilla blood vendetta.
Oh my God. The only real information that he presented is at the end, and he doesn't even do anything to disparage it. He just says it's silly, not recognizing that MS-13 in El Salvador actively harangues, harasses, extorts local shop owners exactly like that. So much so that even the most racist American criminal justice system judge looked at that situation and said, yeah, this information is pretty valid and consistent with the way MS-13 operates. This is why we can't send him back to El Salvador. That's what happened. He didn't even disparage the statement that was seen in a court of law as admissible evidence that cleared the high standard that would offer this person protection from being deported to El Salvador. And this guy doesn't even try to undermine the evidence. He just goes, tortilla shop. Oh, it's a blood feud with a tortilla shop. Are you kidding me? Do you know anything? Oh, he just made a joke. He didn't even try to make a joke. He did the thing that all brilliant content creators do, where someone makes it justifying a terrorist wife beater. 2 judges ruled that he was an MS-13 gang member. Are you saying you know better than 2 judges? Yes, I'm saying I know better than you, dumb. Because both of those judges are immigrant court judges that literally do not care about the actual standard of evidence in this regard, because the standard of evidence is nothing. It's just hearsay that a cop that was subsequently fired reported on with claims that this person was an MS-13 gang member that operated out of Long Island. He had never been to Long Island. So much so that a third judge looked at it and went, yeah, I don't think this is valid. I don't think this is valid enough for deportation to El Salvador. As a matter of fact, there's enough evidence here that is valid to not deport him to El Salvador. A fact that the American federal government accidentally also admitted to, for the record, when they said, oops, we made a mistake. That's the only reason why this is even a story, and you don't know about the stories of Andre, the gay hairstylist that was also sent to the Seacock facility for having tattoos of mom and dad on his arms. The only reason why people are talking about this is because the federal government actively admitted that they made a mistake, and now they're refusing to atone for said mistake, even though they could very easily do so, even though they have done so directly from El Salvador. As a matter of fact, this administration has demanded to return people that they falsely sent to El Salvador in the past. That was a pretrial bail determination. They said the accusation was enough to withhold bond, not that he was MS-13. Very different. Yes. God, dude. Imagine actually defending a terrorist and justifying this much. So cringe. Yeah, I can't imagine myself defending a terrorist because I'm not defending this terrorist donkey over here, Jesse Waters. Okay? You are the one who's defending terrorism. You're the one who's defending people getting kidnapped in the middle of the street by Gestapo agents, only to be trafficked into a slave labor colony, you Nazi freak, you vermin. What the is wrong with you? Holy shit. Don't worry. That kind of will come down. That kind of will come knocking down your door one day too, okay? And you'll have no one to defend you. Notice how I gave him all of the relevant factual information, and instead of hearing any of that, it just breezed past him and he went, I'm defending the rule of law, you donkey, with the hopes that one day you don't also get over. You might not have the emotional intelligence to understand that, but I'm still going to advocate for your well-being, even if you fight me tooth and nail down to the very last step, because you're a racist, mouth-breathing loser, okay? But even a racist, mouth-breathing loser, such as yourself, does not deserve to be treated this way. Does not deserve to be treated as nothing but cattle. Not even cattle. We treat cattle better. Your priorities are backwards in saying you would rather protect terrorists than victims of the country. You have not demonstrated that this person is a terrorist. You have not demonstrated it at all. You are only imagining that a brown guy wearing a bull's hat is a terrorist because he's a brown guy wearing a bull's hat. Expected coming from the left? Oh my God. Oh, it seems you know better than 2 judges look at you, a grown-ass man crashing out over a terrorist. I'm a grown-ass man crashing out because I think that other American individuals are not this sub 40 IQ. Okay. I'm crashing out because I think we have the endless bounty of the internet. You have access to all of this information. It is readily available to you. And yet you choose to go off on your own idiotic notion that this person is a terrorist without any evidence whatsoever, and only evidence to show that he is not a terrorist. Only evidence to show that he's not MS-13. It's blowing my mind how stupid and how racist people can be in this day and age.
13 gang. And 2 separate judges found that Abrego Garcia was a member of MS-13, and that finding has never been...
They know they aren't in danger. They want a white ethno state. They know this admin is working in service of that goal. First, they came for the communist argument doesn't work when you were talking to a literal Nazi. No. Okay? That's also not true. Because their quality of life will be destroyed in an irreparable fashion with the Trump administration. It's like dumb liberal Zionists in Israel who don't understand that the apartheid justifies all of the reactionary slant in the fascist apartheid state, and they don't recognize that underlying cause, so they just keep going along with it. And then they go, oh, how could this have happened? Why do we have Itamar Ben-Gvir, a terrorist, in a position of power? It happens because you can't check your idiotic white supremacist fantasies. And before you know it, you're going to be the crosshairs. That's how it's always worked inside of fascist administrations throughout history. My goal is to snap at least some people out of this stupor that they found themselves in. Yeah, First They Came for the Communist is a poem written by a Nazi, okay? A former Nazi. Do you understand why that poem is prescient? Or do you understand why that poem is important? Because it's written by a guy who was like, yeah, I'm a Nazi. I like the Nazi stuff. What's going on? I'm a Christian Nazi. It'll never happen to me. And then when it did come for him, he was like, well, I have no one else to save me. That's the whole point. Historically, fascism ends, right? Yes, of course it ends, because it's a suicidal death cult. You will never stay in the in-group. If you think that you will stay in the in-group, you are a moron.
Disputed. And just this morning, it was revealed through Maryland court documents that Abrego Garcia's wife petitioned for an order of protection against him for 2 instances of domestic violence in May of 2021. And here is the order right here. The court ordered that the respondent committed the following acts of abuse. Once in May of 2021, assault in any degree. And on May 4th of 2021, he punched and scratched his wife, ripped off her shirt, and grabbed and bruised her. This is from a court in Maryland. So not only are Democrats rushing to defend an illegal criminal foreign terrorist gang member, but also an apparent woman beater. To set all of that aside, the basic fact that he was illegal.
He's like, dude, oh my God. Saying this as a part of the Trump administration is extra spicy. What's next? Did he say he wanted to grab women by the... Are you going to lie about that too? Like, what do you mean? This person is an alleged woman beater? What the are you talking about? Pete Hegseth is the Secretary of Defense. What are you saying?
Legally inside our country and had a lawful deportation order made him subject to removal back to his home country of El Salvador. And if he ever ends up back in the United States, he would immediately be deported again. Nothing will change the fact that Abrego Garcia will never be a Maryland father. He will never live in the United States of America again. And the United States Supreme Court ruled unanimously that the President of the United States and the Secretary of State could not be compelled to forcibly retrieve this citizen of El Salvador who is currently locked up in a maximum security prison in his home country due to his MS-13 membership. To remind the media and the Democrat Party, MS-13 are among the most vicious and dangerous individuals in this world. They pose a direct threat to the United States, El Salvador, and any other country who maintains basic law and order. MS-13 rapes innocent girls and women, runs sex trafficking operations, murders for sport, and terrorizes law-abiding people. That's why El Salvador President Bukele made it clear this week that he will not be releasing this MS-13 gang member from his prison. But that is not enough. All of that is not enough to stop the Democrat Party from their lies. The number one issue they are focused on right now is bringing back this illegal alien terrorist to America. But where are the Democrats applauding the fact that southern border crossings just hit a historic low? Where are the Democrats supporting our brave men and women of law enforcement who are putting their lives on the line every single day to arrest the violent illegal alien invaders that the previous administration allowed into our country? And where are the Democrats when innocent Americans are victimized by illegal criminals that Joe Biden let in?
Like, an innocent American is being victimized. Even if you say Abrego Garcia is not an American citizen, Okay. His wife is, his children are. You're victimizing them. You're ripping them away from their father. His brothers in the union are innocent Americans who are also being victimized in this situation. It's also incredible because God, every day we are more depraved as a society. We are moving in a very dangerous direction. We're in that dangerous direction. We're not moving in that dangerous direction. We're there. It is terrifying, dude. It sucks to see happening in broad daylight with no way of changing the trajectory. It's actually psychotic that they're just openly lying about this dude being MS-13 with no information whatsoever, with no evidence readily available, and only evidence to suggest the contrary, the exact opposite, that he is not an MS-13 gang member. And it doesn't even matter. None of it matters. His wife adjusted domestic abuse court filings in this Newsweek article. Exclusive. Abrego's wife responds after restraining order revealed. Jennifer Vasquez-Sura, the wife of Kilmer Garcia, the Maryland man deported to El Salvador before the U.S. Supreme Court called for him to be returned, is defending her husband and denouncing U.S. ICE for what she describes as an unjust act of abduction. Vasquez-Sura gave an exclusive statement in Newsweek, responding to the DHS release of court filings alleged domestic violence. Her statement comes after the DHS posted documents from 2021 indicating that she filed for a protective order claiming that her husband punched and scratched her, ripped her shirt, and left her bruised. The temporary restraining order barred him from contacting her and directing him not to harass or abuse her, according to court filings. After surviving domestic violence in a previous relationship, I acted out of caution after a disagreement with Kilmer by seeking civil protective order in case things escalated, she said. Things did not escalate, and I decided not to follow through with the civil court process. We were able to work through the situation privately as a family, including by going to counseling. Our marriage only grew stronger in the years that followed. Like, what is this argument? They're saying that, like, they're protecting this woman who is demanding the return of her husband who has been abducted. Oh, no, you don't understand. We're actually doing you a good, we're doing you justice here. It is so slimy and so gross to try to pull this civil proceeding up to be like, yeah, no, this guy is actually a terrorist wife beater. Coming from the people who hire rapists, dude. Drunk rapists are in so many positions of power that it literally feels like you have to be a pedophile drunk rapist to even get any proximity to power whatsoever. And these guys are like, yeah, this person whose wife is demanding his return is actually a victim that we're saving in this process. Gross. What the It is so gross. Yeah, also here's how they're packaging this. Trump's counterterrorism czar, Sebastian Gorka, says Americans critical of deportations like Abrego Garcia's are providing material support to terrorists, a felony crime. And if you think it's just like a stupid statement coming from a stupid man, make no mistake, these stupid men are in positions of power, and they're saying this because they're gearing up to eventually deport you too. You either have to shut the f up and stand idly by as all of the constitutional protections are eroded for the whims of a madman who's willing to nuke global trade, ruin your future, ruin and make worse the affordability crisis that already existed that conveniently made him the president. They just want you to shut the up, and they will continue shredding the Constitution to make sure you shut the up.
That's what we learned today from the White House press briefing. And again, a judge ruled 6 years ago that he couldn't be deported from this country because he was a gang member. And that judge had fears that he would be targeted by rival gangs in El Salvador. Doesn't that just solve the question right there in itself?
Well, the question is solved, Rob. Good evening. At so many levels. Number one, this individual is a foreign national who came here illegally. So that's your first two strikes. Then we find out he's a member of an organization that we recently designated as a foreign terrorist organization. So 3 strikes and you're out. And it's quite telling that we have Democrats on Capitol Hill, not just the lunatics who are torching Tesla dealerships in acts of terrorism themselves, saying, oh my gosh, the rights of this individual. You mean the terrorist who came here illegally? And that individual who said, I can't go home because one gang that I'm not a member of wants to kill me because I am a member of another gang. Seriously, Rob, if you read this in a fictional novel 10 years ago, you'd say absolutely absurd. This is where we are today. President Trump, Stephen Miller, Kristi Noem, Tom Homan are trying to keep us safe, but the other side of the aisle is on the side of the terrorists. I realize that the taxonomy of politics in America is dead. It's not left and right. It's not even Republican or Democrat. There's one line that divides us. Do you love America or do you hate America? It's really quite that simple. And we have people who love America, like the president, like his cabinet, like the directors of his agencies, who want to protect.
I can't think of a person who does not love, who hates America more than Donald Trump. Everything that he's done so far is unironically ruining America even further, just accelerating America's demise. Everything he touches. I also love that in the aftermath of the war on terror and the aftermath of 9/11, we've gotten to a point where you could just say someone is a terrorist, no evidence necessary, totally deny you of your habeas corpus, totally deny you of any rights whatsoever, and it doesn't even matter. No one seems to care. No one seems to care that we are now living this reality where you could just be called a terrorist and then that's it. You could be disappeared overnight. You have no legal protections. How can people not recognize that this is dangerous? It's not just happening to Muslims in Dearborn anymore. It's happening to Mexicans. It's happening to El Salvadorans. It's happening to Guatemalans. It's going to happen to white people eventually too. Just wait.